for my stage that I chose, the section from the family life cycle that I chose was stage 4, and that is families with adolescents. Adolescents in this stage with a family are defined as the age between 6 and 13. It is a key point in the development of an adolescent, both socially as well as with education. Cognitive development here for the adolescent is in the concrete operational stage, which is defined as the recognition of the logical stability of the physical world, the realization that elements can be changed or transformed and still conserve many of the original characteristics, and the understanding that these changes can't be reversed. So kind of what you're seeing here is how the adolescent views the world and what they're seeing that can be changed and what cannot, and how they can change it. For the adolescent, identity is very important here. How they see themselves and how they want to be seen and how they are seen. Independence really begins to show in adolescence. This is a very challenging time for parents where adolescents will experiment with what they believe in, if it's the same thing that their parents believe in, or if they are going to experiment outside of that, and they will definitely push back against inflexibility. They will test the parents to see what they can and can't get away with, depending on what freedoms they are given. The end goal for the parents in this stage is to get the child to the launching stage, but going back, it is just a very challenging time because adolescents are wanting to be more independent, but they're not quite there, and parents have a hard time of letting them be more independent, so they're pulling them back, and this is fighting against each other. As far as the biopsychosocial perspective goes, there's several things here that I think are incredibly big factors. One is adolescents are beginning to go through puberty. So for girls, that's at a younger stage, and for boys, that's at an older stage, but that absolutely affects, again, how they view each other, how they view other sex, or depending on what they're experimenting with or whatever. And just the chemicals and everything that's changing in there is a very challenging time. Social aspects for this is peer pressure. Again, what kids accept to do, what they are challenged to do or not do by how they are raised, or what other groups of adolescents push them to do. After that, this is one of the most important things that I believe is what's called the personal fable, where an adolescent has the view that they are kind of immune, or almost is impossible to harm them. They almost look at it as a invincibility, and that it's kind of that it can't happen to me type of mentality, and this can affect everything from sexual practice, not worrying about safe sex because it can't happen to me, it's going to happen to somebody else, as well as high-risk behavior. Now that can be anything from drug use to just doing things like extreme sports, but doing it dangerously without any safe practices because they're not going to get hurt. It's also kind of the viewpoint of, I will be the most successful person. I'm either going to be a rock star or this famous actress or actor or anything like that. Like, they are kind of above everyone else in their own mindset. And this is a incredibly hard thing to get over for a lot of people that aren't pushed in the right direction to rise above that. Okay, let's see here. All right, the family development life cycle. The development of the family as a whole comes into play here. So parents and how they interact, of course, but and also what kind of family unit we're dealing with. Is it just one single parent? Is there any other individuals involved in the child's life? Are there divorced parents, so they are having two different parents with two different rule sets and expectations, and also step parents in there possibly? So that is a big part here. And another thing that in the Invisible Web talked about was reciprocity, kind of as conflict resolution. So it was quoted as, everyone involved in the problem plays a part in the maintenance of that problem by reinforcing the behavior of the other. So this absolutely comes into play with adolescence. They want to experiment and they want to push and they want to learn, but they want to be seen as independent, whereas a lot of times, again, like I stated earlier, the parent kind of draws back and tightens down, and there needs to be that balance and that reciprocity there so they can continue to grow. Now, as far as faith development, in the very beginning of the mission-minded family, it states that the mission of the Great Commission, and the focus of that affects each family member and the entire system, which is exactly systems theory in play, and that when you focus with a faith-backed or based family, each member is going to rise above and in turn push the entire family, whereas the entire family also is going to help build up each individual member. And the last thing I have here is how the system has impacted this stage, and the big thing right there is like what I opened with, which is learning development, and that is the challenging block for each stage. I think with children involved is that they continue to learn, and each stage builds up on the next one and so forth, kind of following along with like scaffolding theory, and that to me is the most important part with how it works in with the family and how they can develop on each previous block and learn and grow. Everything that I have for my stage. Thank you very much.